Hey everybody, it's Margaret with Forward Kind Heart, and welcome to my monthly vlog about working with our shadow by the light of the full moon. So first of all, I'm Margaret. I'm with Forward Kind Heart, which is all about helping humanity move forward into this beautiful, heart-centered place of love, and still being able to have our human experience. And so I love helping people on their journey of awakening. And how does that look? You know, working with the emotional, the physical, the spiritual, the mental, and still like being able to live from our heart centered, as well as helping people really find and activate their joy. So that's who I am. And part of our being human, part of our path to awakening is really recognizing our shadow, knowing our shadow, and working with our shadow. So in this process, I really like the idea of using the full moon to really illuminate the aspect of shadow as well as what zodiac sign it's in. So for February, the full moon is going to be in Virgo, the maiden. So we can start right there. Like, how do you feel about that archetype of the maiden? Like, are you a maiden? Do you judge maidens? Like, think about what that word maiden means to you. You know, so often we think of a maiden as naive, innocent, open, like ready to take the world by storm. So how do you feel about the maiden? If you're having any judgment, any shame, any if you're having adverse feelings about the maiden, then that is your shadow, and there is work to do there with the maiden. And so really taking this full moon to look at how you feel about the archetype of the maiden, as well as any work that needs to be done. How can you really embody your inner maiden? How can you realize, you know, we're all naive at sometimes. There's all stuff that we don't know. We are all open and full of life at sometimes. So how can you bring that more into your life? So some other aspects of shadow. And so often we see shadow as negative, and it's not positive or negative. It's just how we respond. There are light sides of certain signs and certain shadows that we respond to. So if you hear the word beauty and you cringe or you judge people for their beauty, then that is shadow right there. So often we see shadow as, like I said, negative, like bad, like hate, dislike, judgment, thieves, robbers, things like that. And really it's our response to certain words that indicate that our shadow is there, right? Because we're not aware of our shadow. And so the easiest way really is to see like those words that are those attributes, right? That we're judging, that we're shaming, that we're denying, that we're putting onto other people, right? We're projecting. So that's part of shadow. So let's get more into the Virgo, right? And what Virgo embodies and how our shadow can be there. So again, so Virgos are often thought of being meticulous, right? They're highly intelligent. So do you own your intelligence, or do you judge people like, oh, they're such a nerd, they're such a geek? Where's your inner nerd? Where's your inner geek? Where is your inner Einstein, right? Oh, they have to do everything so meticulously. They're so detailed. Where does detail fit for you? Where does detail work? Where might you need more detail, and where could you let some of that detail go? So another thing, right, about Virgos, they're practical. They're considered reliable. So are you reliable? Are you practical? How do you feel about reliable and practical people? Where can you bring more of that in? Because remember, shadow is behind us. We're not always aware of it. So we're looking at, like, when you hear these words and you're like, ugh, no, not me. Can't stand people like that. I judge people like that. That is so not me. Well, then those are aspects of your shadow that are asking to be worked with. So another thing, Virgos can be seen as harsh and highly critical. So are you highly critical? Can you be harsh? How can you embody that? Like, sometimes we have to be harsh. Sometimes we have to be highly critical. Like, sometimes we need that critical eye to get things done. And so really finding this ebb and flow. You know, Virgos can also be seen as judgmental, finicky, right? So where does judgmental serve you? Where does finicky serve you, right? As well as Virgos can be seen as being down to earth as well as sensitive. So how do you feel about sensitive people? Do you own your sensitivity? Are you in touch with your sensitivity? Do you need to be more grounded? Do you need to be more down to earth? And so again, this really is inviting our shadow to come and play in the light of the moon. So looking at these different words or aspects and being like, yes, that is me. No, I really need to work on that. I really need to embody that, as well as, you know, the archetype, right? And are you living in the shadow of the archetype, or are you living in the archetype, and how do you find that balance? So again, you know, looking at, oh, yes, I totally am the maiden. I totally embody that. Or no, like and so a lot of times for people when they're in further states of their life, right? Maybe they're in crone or mother and they've forgotten their maiden aspect. So how to bring that in, right? To foster that, as well as all those other aspects, right? Like detail-oriented, picky, finicky, down to earth, intelligent, sensitive, right? So how do you honor these aspects in yourself? How do you play with those aspects? So in this full moon in Virgo, I invite you to have some fun. Let your inner maiden out. Like, honor her. Like, do something, you know, that celebrates that. You know, dance in the moonlight, and, you know, or buy some beautiful flowers, or learn something new, right? Virgos are also highly intelligent. They're sensitive. So allowing those emotions to flow. Allow your intelligence to be shared with the world. So that is our shadow in the full moon of Virgo. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in March. Bye.